The storm had already started when Daniel left the diner. The rain came down in cold, heavy sheets, turning the highway into a ribbon of silver under the glare of his headlights. He had 3 more hours of driving before he reached home, and he wasn't looking forward to them. The road stretched ahead empty, endless, winding through miles of dark forest. The kind of road that seemed to swallow sound. After a few miles, he saw a figure on the shoulder, a woman, standing perfectly still in the downpour, one hand raised as though she'd been waiting just for him. Her hair was long and wet, clinging to her face, and she wore a pale dress that looked too thin for the weather. Daniel slowed down, his conscience arguing with his fear. Finally, he pulled over. The woman opened the passenger door without a word and slid inside. She didn't shiver, didn't look at him. Her head turned slightly toward the windshield, her expression blank. "Rough night?" Daniel offered with a nervous chuckle. She didn't respond. Water dripped from her hair onto the seat, leaving dark spots that didn't seem to dry. The only sound was the rhythmic slap of the wipers and the hum of the engine. After a few minutes, Daniel tried again. "Where are you headed?" Her voice came out barely above a whisper. "Home," the word felt heavy, final. "Where's home?" he asked. She didn't answer. He glanced at her and froze. Her hands were folded neatly in her lap, but her fingers were grayish blue, like they'd been submerged in cold water too long. He looked back at the road, heart hammering. Maybe she was sick. Maybe she'd been in an accident. He forced himself to stay calm. "You okay?" he asked quietly. She turned to look at him then, and his breath caught. Her eyes were pale. So pale they seemed colorless, and there was something off about her reflection in the window. The outline didn't match her posture. It moved slightly later than she did, as if lagging behind. "You missed the turn," she said suddenly. Her voice was flat, but it carried through the car like an echo. "What turn?" he asked, scanning the darkness. "To my home." He glanced in the rearview mirror, confused. The highway was deserted, the rain pounding harder. "I didn't see any turn." She looked at him again, her lips parting in the faintest smile. "It's okay. You'll see it soon." He gripped the wheel tighter. The air inside the car grew colder, and his breath began to fog. He reached to turn on the heater but froze. The temperature dial was already at max heat. Still, the air felt like ice. He looked at her again. The passenger seat was empty. His pulse jumped. He slammed the brakes, the car skidding on the wet asphalt. Heart racing, he turned in his seat, scanning the back seat, the road, the woods, nothing. Just rain and darkness. "Jesus Christ," he muttered, running a shaking hand through his hair. He sat there for a moment, trying to calm down, until a faint whisper rose from the back seat. "You didn't take the turn." His body went rigid. Slowly, he looked in the rearview mirror and saw her, sitting in the back, her head tilted, her eyes gleaming faintly. "It's just ahead," she said softly. "I can show you." Her reflection in the mirror smiled wider than her real face. Daniel's hands trembled on the wheel. "I'm not," he began, but his voice died. The headlights flickered. The road ahead was gone, replaced by a narrow dirt path he hadn't noticed before. At its end stood a small, dark house with one window lit. The woman leaned forward, whispering close to his ear now. "Home," before he could react. Something cold touched the back of his neck, a hand, damp and heavy. He screamed, wrenching the door open and stumbling into the rain. When he looked back, the car was empty. The passenger door hung open, the engine still running. The seat soaked as if someone had just been sitting there. Shaking, he stumbled toward the highway, waving frantically as headlights appeared in the distance. A truck driver stopped and helped him inside. Daniel tried to explain, his words tumbling over each other. But when he looked back at his car, it was gone. vanished. Weeks later, a search team found it deep in the forest, miles from the road, engine off, doors locked from the inside. The passenger seat was wet, and on the fogged window, one word was written in a shaky hand: home. To this day, drivers on that stretch of highway sometimes see a lone woman standing in the rain, her pale face turned toward the road, her hand raised just so, and if you stop to let her in, you'll never drive alone again.